ask you something. Have you ever had a day where you had to sit down to work, ready to tackle something really important, and instead you feel stuck? Your mind is racing with everything that you need to do. Emails to respond back to, deadlines that you need to fulfill, and the meetings that you need to attend to. And no matter how hard you try, you just cannot seem to focus. Or maybe you're juggling so much that you feel like you're constantly behind, like you're running on a treadmill that is speeding up by the minute. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. I've been there too. Hey friends, I'm so honored to be here with you at this session. My name is Khai. I'm a neuroscientist, a data scientist, and a mental fitness coach. But more importantly, I'm someone who knows what it's like to feel overwhelmed, distracted, and stuck. For years, I thought the answer was to push harder, work longer hours, and just power through, no matter how exhausted I am. But all that did was leave me more burned out and physically, mentally, emotionally drained. It wasn't until I started diving into the science of flow, because we're not supposed to just survive, right? We're supposed to thrive. So I started diving deeper into the science of flow and mental performance, that I realized that there's a better way, a way to work with our brain instead of against it. So that's why I'm here today to share that with you. So if you feel like you're spinning your wheels or running on empty, you're in the right place. Let's figure this out together for the next 15 minutes. Let's get real. You're here because you're ambitious. You're building something that's really true to your heart, whether it's a business, a career, or a life that you're proud of, a life that you want to be thriving in. But also, let's face it, the pressure to do it all, the responsibilities, the deadlines, the expectations that you need to fulfill, it's all just overwhelming. Maybe you're a business owner trying to grow your company, or there are just so many things that you need to do, so you need to maintain that sanity. Or a leader who's leading the entire team, the entire organization, but secretly you're doubting yourself. A creative person with all these big ideas, but no clear path to execute them. Or someone who just starting fresh, transitioning into a new field, a new career, starting a new speaking career, right? Trying to figure it all out to see how to make it all work. Whatever your situation is, the good news is there's a way to move forward without running on empty. Today, I'm going to show you how to unlock that flow state. You probably have heard of it. The Olympians, the musicians, the athletes getting in the zone. But you and I can also achieve that flow state. Anyone with a functioning brain can achieve the flow state and get into the zone where we are immersed in whatever that we're doing. Time just flies and we're performing at our absolute best. Okay? Before I show you how to get into the flow state, let's first figure out what's blocking you. See, flow is a biological state, but with the right conditions, the right space, the right environment, it's just much easier for us to get into the zone. So let's figure out what's blocking you. There are three biggest culprits of flow blockers that I see in myself and in my clients, and I bet one of them will resonate with you. So let's dive into the flow blockers. I want you to grab a pen and a paper and maybe write it down or circle which one resonate with you. You ready? I'm going to be writing it down here. Let's go. So flow blockers. Alrighty. So number one that we have is the overwhelm. You've got so much on your plate that you don't even know where to start. Your to-do list is just growing exponentially, right? Number two, you ready? Number two is exhaustion, right? Again, this goes back to having so much to do. And at the end of the day, at the end of the week, the month, the year, you're running on empty. And no amount of coffee and caffeine seems to help anymore. You're just at this point, basically a somewhat functioning zombie. And you just keep on consuming caffeine just to stay up, because you just keep on pushing yourself through, powering through, because you have so much to do. Number three, you ready? I'm sure that we all have experienced this. That is the distraction. Your phone, email, Facebook notifications, LinkedIn notifications, or the doctor calling you, your mom calling you, your kids, school, principals calling you, or different notifications, right? All these distractions happening, that's just pulling you in a million different directions. And then You just feel more exhausted, you just feel more overwhelmed. At the end of the day, I don't know about you, sometimes I feel like I didn't accomplish what I'm gonna accomplish. Then the self-doubt creeps in. The little voice saying, why am I even doing this? Right? Whatever the things that we're passionate about, to have the positive impact in our community, in our society, the business that we're planning to create, the team members that we're trying to positively influence, the things that we're really, really passionate about, just be calm on the sideline and just take less priority. These are the 3 biggest culprits. So I want you to circle which one most resonate with you, or circle all of them. Now that you know the flow blockers, right? Let's get into how we can create that right space for us to optimally get into the flow state, or at least reduce the barrier to get to the flow state, yeah? As I mentioned before, flow doesn't just happen. You have to create the right conditions to prime it, right? It's an actual biological state that's taking place in our brain. So let's now discuss 3 simple science-backed strategies to help you get into the flow. If you are taking note, you can follow along. Those are what we call flow triggers. Each of the 3 flow triggers that we're going to discuss in the next few minutes has a unique purpose, and together they will help you overcome the overwhelm, right? Eliminate distractions and manage your energy effectively. You ready? Number 1. What do you think number 1 is? It's a freaky clear goals. Freaking clear goals, right? You know, overwhelm happens when your brain is just juggling too much. Too many things happening all at once. The fix is to have the freaking clear goals. And how can we do that? We need to break whatever the stuff that we need to do into tiny, crystal clear steps so that we don't get overwhelmed, so that our brain doesn't get overwhelmed. I'll give you an example. Let me grab a different color. So let's say for the business owner, entrepreneur, speakers, whatever it is, let's say your goal on your to-do list is to prepare for a presentation, right? So we're gonna prepare. I'm just gonna call it as talk. I'm running out of space here. Prepare for a talk, right? You see how big of a task it is? It requires too many steps, right? Do we need to prepare for a PowerPoint slide? Even before we prepare for a PowerPoint slide, you need to know what you're gonna be talking about. You need to know the purpose of the talk. You need to know who the audience is. It's like so many things going on. The next thing you know, your brain is already overwhelmed, right? So that's what I mean by to have the freaking clear goals and to break this giant task down into small bite-sized tasks that you can accomplish little by little, right? Our brains love to celebrate small wins instead of just giant steps that we cannot accomplish in a given time, right? So what would be some of the things that we can break it down to prepare a talk? I'll give you like 30 seconds to sort of think about it. How can we break it down? Apply it to your use case. For example, right, if we have to break it down, maybe write 3 bullet points for intro, right? Maybe you need to research, right? Research, let's say statistics to support your argument, right? Or you can do, okay, and what else? Also, you can maybe identify 2 to 3 examples audience can relate to. Right? So each of them, it's its own individual task. And so for example, right, instead of just saying prepare a talk, and to prepare a talk, you can break it down into these tiny tasks. And of course, sequence also matters. So maybe you're a business owner. This could be breaking down a marketing plan or marketing strategy. How you're going to advertise your business, right? How people are going to find you for your brand. If you're a parent, it could be planning a family trip. If you are a creative person, it could be outlining your next project, or what kind of software you're going to use, right? Or working on identifying different topics that you need to do for your sketches, for your writing, for your video creation, etc. So I want you to, on your piece of paper, try to break that task down right now. Think about it, brainstorm it, at least try to scribble it, right? Because who knows, maybe you won't have time after you watch this video anymore, right? So I want you to actually take the time to actually go through that right now. Identify freaking clear goals. Right? It's all about, ready? Freaking clear goals, right, are all about clarity. Do to reduce the overwhelm that's happening in your brain. Let's talk about the next point in our flow triggers list. That is the 90-minute flow block. Even when you know what to do by breaking it down into these little small achievable tasks, to have that clarity, one can throw you off track. Distraction can pull you off track. So the 90-minute flow block, it's about creating that time and space to help you focus deeply on the task, to create that right condition, the right environment, protecting your time for you, for your brain to enter a state of deep concentration. It's about focus. Okay, so in the 90-minute flow block, here's how you can set it up. You need to create your environment where you're going to be working in to be distraction-free zone. What I mean by that is you can put your phone on do not disturb mode. If you're working on the computer, there's also an option for do not disturb mode, right? For the next 90 minutes, your goal is to focus on one of these tasks. Don't try to tackle all three. Just try to focus on one task that you actually need to do. So in our case, for prepare the talk, just focus on, okay, I need to identify 3 points to create the introduction. Just focus on that in this 90-minute flow block. If you live with roommates, if you're working in a team setting, or if you're at home, you can notify your spouse or the people in your home, letting them know, hey, I would really appreciate it if you try to keep the noise down. I'm going to be focusing on whatever I need to do, like for the next 90 minutes. So please do not open the door. I'm going to be focusing on whatever I need to do for the next 90 minutes, right? Create that distraction-free environment ahead of time. Let people know. Ask other people for help in terms of like watching your kids or whatever that you will need to do, so that for the next 90 minutes, your brain is distraction-free. Your brain is focusing only on this one task, the one small task that you break it down. So after 90 minutes, you need to take a break, because what you just do in that 90 minutes, focusing on this one task, being laser focused, what's happening in your brain, it's actually using up all those resources, right? The biological resources. And so it's really important after you finish your 90-minute flow block, you take some rest. So you can even take 15-minute rest, right? Recharge. So that could mean, go for a walk, right? Maybe exercise, just rest. Okay, so this will allow your brain to then recoup all those resources necessary. Think of your brain after the 90-minute flow block as needing to recharge your phone, right? Because if you keep on using your phone for the whole entire day, what happens? The battery is going to drain. So is your brain. So if you're a leader, this could mean that you're blocking your time, right, to strategize a plan for your team, right? It might not necessarily look like prepare for talk, but block that 90-minute out to solely focus on coming up with a strategy plan for your team, right? If you are a student, it could mean studying for the exam. But what happens when you're studying for an exam or whatever the things you need to do? The exam has more than one concept, more than one chapters. And so in this 90-minute block, just focus on mastering that one chapter or whatever it may be, right? If you are a creative person, it could just mean focusing on the one task to create the video, or focusing on one task on compiling a whole bunch of different video clips. Yeah? Well, this method works because it gives your brain the space it needs to be laser focused. Think of it like putting a do not disturb sign for your mind, right? Because most of the time in our day-to-day tasks, day-to-day life, we have so many distractions going on, overwhelming our brain, and then after taking care of all the stuff that we need to take care of, then we run out of energy. We're exhausted for what we wanted to do. So that's why it's really important for you to actually block out some time, distraction-free zone, distraction-free time, so that you can now focus on what really matters. Okay? All right, which brings us to number 3, which is energy surfing. Exhaustion blocks flow because your brain can't focus when it's running on fumes, when it runs on empty. Right? The solution is to work with your natural energy rhythm instead of working against it. So it's really important for you to track your energy, get to know your own body, get to know your own energy rhythm. So I want you to track your energy level for a week, right? It doesn't have to be like a chart. You can just be like, you wake up in the morning and then you're like, I don't know, around 8 to 9 a.m. I'm like all laser focused, or like by lunchtime, right? So this could be this, or by lunchtime, this is like lunchtime. Right? When you're at the lowest energy, right? So try to notice when you feel most alert and when you crash and when you needed that additional caffeine refill, right? So what I want you to do is schedule your most important work during your high energy, right? This high energy zone is when you're gonna do whatever the high priority tasks that you have, right? And during the low energy periods, like here during the afternoon or whatever your low energy level time zone is, that's when you sort of go for a walk, take a break, and also have time to do the movement, the exercise, right? Connect with the nature. It's really important for us to strategically pause, right? It's so underrated these days, especially in this hustle culture, always doing more, you'll sleep with your dad, none of those, okay? Strategic pauses or rest and recharge are so important, especially when you need to laser focus, when your brain is spent focusing on high priority tasks. So if you're a business owner, this could mean scheduling your client's call when you are most energetic. Or if you're a parent, it could mean planning playtime with your kids when you're most energized. Because believe it or not, your kids, even though they may not be able to speak or they're starting to speak, they actually notices your vibe, your energy level. If you're a creative person, it could be brainstorming during your highest energy level. This isn't about squeezing more out of your day. We've done that plenty of time. And if you're like me, I ended up being exhaustion and overwhelmed with more distractions that are just happening throughout the day, right? It's not just about squeezing more out of the day. It's about doing the right things at the right time. By managing it without energy peaks and energy dips, it just makes things much easier and flow more naturally. Here's what you need to remember. You don't need to push harder. You need to set yourself up for success. Right? When you prioritize your energy, your focus, you don't just get more done. You do it with joy and ease. It becomes effortless. So let's make it happen. More flow and less overwhelm, less exhaustion, and less distraction. Your best work starts when you stop fighting your brain and start working with it. Before we wrap up, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being here today and taking the time to explore how to unlock your best work. We've covered some of the most common flow blockers and flow triggers, but as you may have noticed, there are many more factors that can impact our ability to get into flow because each of us are unique. We're going through different circumstances and different situations and different family life. I'd love to hear from you. Please email me, share your experiences or ask questions. Let me know which of the flow blockers or triggers that you've tried or you've been working on. I'd love to help. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. If you try any of the strategies that we've discussed over the next few weeks or few months and you're still facing challenges that may not quite address your need, I'd love to hear from you. Let's try to figure it out together. Because as I mentioned just now, flow is personal. We're all going through different challenges, right? And so I'm here to help you find out what works best for you. Let's try to keep the momentum going together collectively. Let's keep flowing.